Let's go!
So, in the same vein of big-ass news, on VFDC, a new Virtua Fighter will be AAA with plans to connect past and future generations of players, not cater just to fighting game fans, and that a game will develop the characters in-game with elaborate background and environment settings, obviously. I think we got that from the trailer. How did it get started? In parallel with the development of the new VF5s. They have been planning for a new VF many times, but not to everyone's satisfaction. Yeah, I'd imagine Virtua Fighter got to a point where it was probably being developed. They talked about this in the past, where unless they innovate, they just stop the project. They just don't do it. Finding what is appropriate for the current market and to have a plan that connects past and the future. Finally was given the go-ahead internally to proceed with a new VF. This is going to be a big project, so good luck. Ooh, shit. We can tell, dude. You guys got, like, NVIDIA behind it. Lots of VF fans inside Sega within different directions they see for the IP, an evolution or completely a new form. Before the task came to Yokohama, which I'm assuming is the lead director? He's the producer. No, he's the director. He's actually the director of RGG. Wow. Yokohama called Yamada, who had left Sega, to work on a new VF. And project started 3 months after the phone call. Really? Contacted a dude that doesn't work there anymore. They said their arm is not necessarily to compete with Tekken and Street Fighter. They've established a lot with their base. They're aiming to go beyond the framework of fighting games, so that not just fighting game fans, but people can enjoy playing a new VF. Ambitious. And I respect it. And it's the history of Virtua Fighter. It literally lines up with everything that Virtua Fighter is leading up to this point. An analogy, Utsumi, Sega president, told him busy, popular izakaya restaurant with limited setting and a food court with abundant seats, even if crowded. Taking a much broader look at VF, he views it as a simple and stoic battle scene, which, taking into consideration, can shine by placing these fight scenes that have no projectiles, superhuman actions, into a realistic city and world setting. So here's what's fascinating to me, is that I think there is, obviously Tekken, you know, for the past, it's uncontested past 20 years almost, pretty much became a game that was further and further pushing the boundaries of like what characters could do and their martial arts and all that stuff. I get it. Tekken characters are absolutely real-life martial artists to a certain degree, right outside of the characters that, you know, do really fantastical head robot shit. But it was rooted in like martial arts style. Tekken's always been weird because it's got like angels and Roger and kangaroos and Final Fantasy characters. Crazy, wacky stuff. To be honest, Tekken has progressively moved away from real martial arts. Where like, oh yeah, this is about Kung Fu versus Judo. You don't think of that shit at all in Tekken anymore, dude. I tell you what, it's been so long since you've even thought about it. Oh, let's just do kickboxing versus this, right? Then the whole point of it is that how do those two martial arts collide? Nah, dude, Tekken became about something very different. And granted, I love it. I'm really enjoying Tekken 8, and I'm having a great time with how ostentatious the game has sort of become and insane with how much they're going into all their moves and attacks. But it really isn't about martial arts fighting anymore. All I'm saying is that there is a space now for a game to exist that is all about martial arts versus martial arts, you know? I get it, Eddie is a capoeira guy, but the last time he thought of like, woo, the capoeira guy was pretty much like Tekken 3. When it's like, oh, his fighting style is all about, you know, this. So I think that there is a space that is not filled in the fighting game universe right now of raw martial arts as close to real life bullshit. That doesn't really exist right now. Everything's either about throwing fireballs or doing crazy shit. Fuse the strength of RGG in building the VF to a new izakaya. Back to that earlier analogy. They stated in the VF Direct, the core is innovation and reality. There you go. Innovation during the 90s arcades. Arcade hardware was cutting-edge technology back then. Now the gap between arcades and home consoles has closed or is getting closer. Oh, bro. There's no arcades that are like a PS5. Mention how the culture or creators of Sega seem to pass down. Even though Shenmue and Like a Dragon have no connection to each other and made by different people always make comparisons of their similarities. Well, yeah. Yokoyama mentioned character designs seem to be passed down from the creators. Main protagonists Akira, Ryo, Kazuma all have similar hairstyles. Yeah, we get it. Yakuza was effectively, you know, Shenmue, but more. Yamada, VF is not a difficult game, but players have honed their techniques making a perception of difficulty. Good, yeah, okay. One problem he notes is difficulty of learning the steps of the basic fighting game and wants to remove that hurdle of learning it. So yeah, that isn't communicated very well, straight up. People do not understand the VF triangle at all. What kind of a game it is, like the strike, throw, guard aspect of VF. You can make VF much more simple if you just like really explain to people that shit. And granted, some characters have some difficult elements to them, don't get me wrong, but the core foundation of what makes VF VF, and it's like, oh yeah, like it's all about these side steps. It's all about like striking and avoiding like the ability for you to be thrown, like all of that kind of stuff. Sidestepping is not the same in VF as it is in Tekken. They're sort of inherent, and they beat a lot of shit, you know? You don't really have to worry about the weird collision stuff that happens in Tekken. VF isn't designed around that. Once you get a hold of that, it becomes so much more fun, dude. Another weakness of the VF series is that the characters' backgrounds, largely due to the game series, was first and foremost an arcade game, story elements, under construction for a new Virtua Fighter. Well, that makes sense, because we can't have a dude just chasing a shark. I have no idea what Wolf's story is. I don't even know what a fucking Akira's story is. I have no clue, dude. All I'm predicting is that the not Sarah Bryant is actually Doral, and Doral's taken the form of Sarah. I'm making an assumption, whatever the hell that thing is. Yokoyama made the analogy, if Street Fighter is like professional wrestling, Virtua Fighter should aim to be like kickboxing. Matches are low-key, not very flashy. The backgrounds of fighters before fights enrich the match. We need to make it flashy or change the game rules. Amplify appeal of plain and serious matches. Yokoyama made an analogy in which his role is to make the new VF an interesting show. Yamada's role is to make VF a fun game to play. A goal of the new VF is to bridge the past Virtua Fighter to the future. 10-year gaps between the game requires a lot of work to build the player community. This will be a big game as it functions to expand the audience that would play, but did state the game should have the same fighting content as the original VF. Suggests this is a full-fledged fighting game plus more. Arcade port is not being considered. Good. Asked about how the series is perceived by overseas game fans and young Japanese game fans, Yamada replied, the series is more well known than he expected, but not played as much, and the series is not well known amongst young Japanese. Well, of course, man. Acknowledging the active players, but for VF, there needs to be a start from scratch, a title that appeals to both the younger generation, but also excites the generation of players that used to play VF, but not anymore. A game that connects a wide range of generations. Yep. Essential for it to be a hit, something parents and children can have talks about. Well, that's weird. Creating a new VFF art RG, advantage of having a studio, expertise in creating worlds, towns, and backgrounds. The teaser video of the new VF was completed quickly. Project launched in 3 months. The town in the trailer was created in just 1 month. Cool. There is no reason to keep the game just to 3 buttons. Punch, kick, guard. But it will take into consideration of previous VF players. That's an interesting line of dialogue. And granted, that was VF3 as well. VF3 had a sidestep button, but still, moving away from PKG is interesting. Take into consideration, this will be a home console release. They'll be optimizing the game for players using a controller. Variety of stages. Ring outs, nice. Some without some. Ring outs under certain conditions. In the teaser, the fight highlighted a situational battle. Ask, can battles be more than just one-on-one? Yamato left that question unanswered. Ooh. The location's not in Japan. It's probably China. The setting of the previous VF are connected. The new project clarifying background that were not clearly explained. Yamada confirmed that Akira-like character is indeed Akira, and the Stella-like character is not Sarah. Old and new characters will be introduced for older characters in previous Lao and Shun. Yamada said, look forward to that information. Ooh. Season Pass part of the game has not been decided. No comment on when new VF will be released. It's not just a sequel, and a lot of it is early in development, but he mentions he does not want to continue making it for years. Release as soon as possible. It's being made for a wider audience. Legacy Virtua Fighter project keeps core fans playing the game until new. Aoki's in charge of the legacy of Virtua Fighter. We knew that. Discuss highlighting star players. Yeah. Be a world tournament. Sure. Official Discord. Yeah. VF will not be half-baked. Discussing those celebrating the 30th anniversary, such as Yu Suzuki. They did not expect to be involved with VF title, as that was part of the arcade era and they worked on consoles, but VF is an important IP in Sega's history, so he has no intention of making it a half-baked game. Some exciting shit in here, man. They talking that good shit, I tell you what. I think the first gameplay demo of Virtua Fighter needs to surprise and shock the shit out of us, right? And that little bit that we saw already looked very cool. Like, that little bit was already like, okay, I'm down. I think whatever gameplay trailer, which is like raw gameplay reveal, dude, that trailer needs to fucking slap. Needs to have some sick-ass music, and really needs to highlight the cinematic elements of the game. Like, I can't wait, dude. And I am going to presume, I'm making an early presumption, that I'll likely be playing this at Summer Games Fest next year. By the time we get to like the June-ish time frame, I wouldn't be surprised if Virtua Fighter's playable. I'm so excited, dude. I can't wait.